Brody's Cause on the outside. Final furlong of the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity. Brody's Cause a final try. Brody's Cause and Corey Lannery a tremendous run. Brody's Cause at the 16th pole. Brody's Cause in front. Brody's Cause for Luis Saez to win the Toyota Bluegrass.
Hi everybody and welcome to Spa Babies, presented by Spendthrift, the Breeders' Farm. I'm Dan Illman along with Nicole Russo, and let's take a look at the field for Friday's Spa Baby race, kicking off the 50-cent late pick 5 at Saratoga with race number 7. Our friends at Spendthrift, represented by the number 5, Super Blood Wolf Moon, by their standout stallion Malibu Moon, and the number 8, Drop a Hint, is by one of Spendthrift's big guns, their stallion Into Mischief. It's an intriguing race, Nicole, with some well-bred first-time starters and some nice experienced runners as well.
Yeah, some nice experienced runners, including one moving from turf to dirt, who I find interesting. And as you mentioned, a number of leading sires represented in this race, including Into Mischief, who's a perennial leading juvenile sire and currently at the top of the general sire chart. Really interesting mix, I think, in here.
Lots to like about the number 1 6th Street. This is a $525,000 yearling purchase by the great stallion Tappet, and she is already a full to My Miss Tappet, a stakes-winning dirt sprinter and debut winner, Rat-a-Tap-Tap, a Grade 3 stakes place dirt router and juvenile debut winner, and Grade 3 place turf router I'll Wrap It Up. The Dam, a Grade 3 winning dirt sprinter, was also a debut winner. So you've got precocity, class, and a big auction price.
Yeah, plenty of speed, plenty of precocity on both sides of this family. We talk all the time about what a good classic sire Tappet is, but you know, he was a record-setting freshman sire his own freshman year and is the sire of runners like juvenile champions Stardom Bound and Hanson. There's a lot to like on both sides of the pedigree for 6th Street. That being said, she's going to have to overcome that inside post, which can be intimidating to first-time starters.
The number 2, Kansas Kiss, is one of 2 in here for trainer Ray Handel. This filly is by the red-hot first-crop stallion Constitution, who has won with 7 of 26 debut runners. Now, there is a lot of turf on the bottom of this pedigree, and I wonder if maybe this filly would benefit from a surface switch down the road, although you can't count any Constitution progeny out right now.
Yeah, the Constitutions, as you mentioned, are just red hot. They're running well on both coasts at both marquee summer meetings. He has graded stakes winners By Your Side and Amalfi Sunrise. They are running on turf as well, though. He has Our Country, who's set to run a little bit later Wednesday as we're taping this in the With Anticipation. So Constitution's really showing himself to be a multi-purpose sire early, and the turf on the bottom side of this one's pedigree makes me wonder if she will want a surface switch, as you said.
There is some turf in the pedigree. The 3rd dam, though, Speed Dialer, won the Arlington-Washington Lassie, going a 1-turn mile on dirt. The number 3 is Leave You With a Smile, a daughter of first-crop stallion Conveyance, still seeking his first winner. This filly has a little bit of dirt in the pedigree, and I was somewhat surprised that Jeremiah Engelhardt made this one's debut in a turf race. She showed good speed. She seemed very green, drifting out noticeably when urged with the whip in the stretch, but I think that good speed's going to play on dirt, and she's an interesting contender on the surface switch.
Yeah, I definitely am glad to see this one getting on dirt. And, freshman sire Conveyance, I really think he has the potential to kind of be a sneaky good sire. We've talked a little bit about the cross in his pedigree. He's by Indian Charlie out of a Holy Bull mare. I think he shows terrific physical traits from both sides of his pedigree. He's thrown some nice physicals on his foals. And when I saw Leave You With a Smile in the paddock before her debut, she really reminded me quite a bit of that Indian Charlie line, a big, leggy, scopy horse. I am glad to see her getting on dirt. I think she'll move forward off of what I thought was a very respectable debut. I do think she might want a little bit more distance eventually.
The number 4 is Snaffle. This is a half-sister to Thieves Guild, a stakes-winning turf sprinter at Saratoga who earned one 103 Beyer speed figure in that stakes win. The Distorted Humors we know can do anything. He is an excellent juvenile debut sire, clicking at 17%. A $105,000 short yearling, bought back twice for $160,000, most recently after breezing a furlong in 10-1 in March. This dam was a stakes-winning sprinter on both dirt and turf, but she has foaled mostly turf runners thus far, and I like to wait for the Kenny McPeek second-time starters, especially when they stretch out in distance and maybe with a surface switch.
I do, yeah. Kenny McPeek, one of those guys where they really seem to take a step forward after a little bit of experience. That said, I'm wondering if this one might be able to run a little bit early. Looking at the work tab, it looks like a solid tab with a bullet a couple works back at Saratoga, a nice maintenance move this week that's still ranked as 9th best at 70 on the day. And again, we'll encourage our listeners to always go take a look at the workout reports produced by our colleague Mike Walsh and team.
I wouldn't be surprised if the number 5, Super Blood Wolf Moon, is pretty fast. She's a daughter of the standout Spendthrift stallion Malibu Moon, who wins with a very respectable 15% of his juvenile debut runners. This filly, though, was bought back for $250,000 after breezing one furlong in a brisk 9 4/5. The dam was stakes place sprinting on dirt. She's a half to I Want Revenge, who won the Wood Memorial. So there is a nice mixture of sprint and route ability, but also you've got a lot of class. I think Super Blood Wolf Moon's intriguing with a Rad Ortiz aboard.
I think she's very interesting. And, you know, Malibu Moon by AP Indy, a classic sire for Spendthrift, but he's another one of those who throws, you know, faster horses and better developing juveniles than, you know, you would think at first glance. The sire of good sprint horses like Come Dancing, winner of the Grade 1 Ballerina just last weekend, the sire of some very, very good 2-year-old fillies throughout his career. And as you said, I think kind of an interesting mix of speed and stamina there.
Well, there's a lot of turf on the bottom of the number 6, Hala Jury's pedigree. She is by first crop stallion Bayern, who won the Haskell and the Breeders' Cup Classic and has already have 6 winners this year. This horse showed some speed in her career debut for Steve Asmussen, was pressed by the winner Figure of Speech, who looks like a very nice horse, and finished a respectable 3rd. We talk often how Asmussen usually improves these horses second time out. Interesting that this horse did not debut with Lasix. A lot of Steve's runners do make the debut with Lasix, but she's getting Lasix now. Should show speed, and if she improves off her debut, is arguably the one to beat.
Yeah, I think she'll move forward off that debut, especially with a fitness standpoint underneath her. She shows a couple of works since then, including a bullet work on the tab. You know, she should move forward, as we said. And I think the pedigree is a very interesting mix here. Bayern, his first crop, he's throwing some nice physicals. You know, he had speed, of course, winning races like the Woody Stevens around one turn, but could certainly carry it at distance to win races like the Breeders' Cup Classic. You know, and I find it very interesting that this one, Hala Jury, is out of an Arch mare. Bayern's actually produced from the same female family as Arch, so kind of doubling down on a very classy family.
The number 7 is Kemba, one of 2 fillies in here sired by Hard Spun, who clicks with 8% of his juvenile debut runners. This filly sold for $40,000 in June after breezing a quarter mile in 21-2. The dam won a couple of dirt sprints, but when you go back in this family, you see a lot of route ability. And even though Javier Castellano is attracted to ride, I think this filly might want a little bit more ground and should benefit from the experience.
Yeah, I certainly think she's going to want some more ground. Heartspun is another one who was a fast horse who could take his speed 2 turns. He won the King's Bishop and was also Grade 1, you know, multiple Grade 1 placed in races like the Derby and the Breeders' Cup Classic. That being said, most of his progeny, his best progeny, have wanted to go long, like Questing, Hard Aces, Wicked Strong. So I definitely think that this might be a little bit short for Kemba, especially as we've talked about. When I see those 2 furlong works at sales, I usually think that they're a horse who maybe isn't going to get going in that first stride or two, and they've chosen that longer distance to showcase the horse a little bit better.
Like many Wayne Lucas-trained juveniles, the number 8 Drop a Hint showed marked improvement in her second lifetime start. She cost $250,000 as a yearling, as a half to a stakes-winning dirt sprinter named Dancing in the Circle, as well as multiple stakes winner Imply and stakes-winning synthetic router Advert. She's got a strong pedigree. She's by Spendthrift stallion Into Mischief, and she showed much improved speed with the blinkers last time out, finishing ahead of Halajuri, and she could work out a nice similar outside tracking trip here.
Yeah, I like that she's well drawn for this race. As you said, she took a big step forward in her second start, as so many of the Wayne Lucas runners do. She came out of that start to fire a bullet work. I like when juveniles come out of races and they train strongly. It sort of tells me that they're figuring out their job, that the light bulb is going on a little bit. And certainly, I mean, Into Mischief at the top of the general sire list right now. He can do everything, but he really made his name first as a sire of precocious juveniles.
The 9 Share Your Spirit is a Sagamore Farm homebred by Hard Spun. This is a half-sister to Ginger and Rye, a stakes-winning turf sprinter that earned a 99 Beyer speed figure going short on the lawn. The dam also liked the turf. She won routing on that surface, and I wonder if distance is what this filly's going to ultimately want. The dam being a half to Bowman's Band, who earned a 115 Beyer speed figure in the Met Mile when placed there. The second dam finished second in the Kentucky Oaks, and the fourth dam is champion Chris Everett.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we talked a little bit. This is the second filly in this race by Hard Spun. We just talked about how some of his breast progeny like to go longer. You know, the female family, as you've just referenced, an outstanding classic type female family that certainly backs that up. And, you know, when I see a homebred, and especially a homebred filly where they're maybe looking toward their broodmare band down the line, I think, gee, this might be a horse we're really playing the long game with.
The final horse in the body of this race is the number 10, Remain Anonymous. And we talked about Constitution getting off to a very hot start with his first crop progeny. How about Tapiture, who won the Kentucky Jockey Club as a 2-year-old, the West Virginia Derby as a 3-year-old, and is 7 for 29 with his debut runners. This dam has foaled 4 juvenile winners, 2 of them being debut winners, so I wouldn't be surprised if she's sharp out of the gate.
Yeah, and, you know, as you just said, Tapiture, he was a rock-solid racehorse, and, you know, his foals might not be grabbing the headlines, but they're looking to be following in that mold. You know, they can just run. He's got a couple of black-type horses already, one of several sons of Tappet who have their first 2-year-olds this year and are, you know, really proving themselves out of the gate early.
We kick off the late pick 5 with race number 7 at Saratoga on Friday. It is a fairly wide open race. You can go so many different ways. Who do you like?
You know, I think this is going to be a race where the experience counts. I really liked that debut win by Figure of Speech on July 31st. And, of course, we've got the 2 fillies who ran behind her in Drop a Hint and Halajuri. You know, with the way Steve Asmussen's second-time starters have been running this meet, I don't think you can ignore Halajuri. That said, looking at the morning line, 3-1 versus 9-2 on Drop a Hint. I'm going to advise people to, you know, watch the board. If you like one of them, if you like both of them, I'd maybe see where the money's going. Behind them, I think Remain Anonymous, who we just discussed, who's attracting Joel Rosario first out, is a very interesting long shot. And I'm going to circle Leave You with a Smile and watch her. I'm expecting her to take a step forward, moving turf to dirt, but I do think she's still going to want maybe a little bit more ground, just the way she's built. But I wouldn't leave her out of your exotics.
I'm interested in the 3, Leave You with a Smile as well. She showed that good speed on the turf. I think she's more dirt bred. I think she's going to give a much improved performance in Friday's Spa Baby race. In the pick 5, I'm going to use the 3, Leave You with a Smile, the 5, Super Blood Wolf Moon by Malibu Moon, and the 6, the Asmussen second-time starter Halajuri. In single race exotics, I want to use the 2, Kansas Kiss underneath. I just can't throw out a Constitution the way they're going right now. It's Friday's Spa Baby race. It's the 7th race. It kicks off the 50-cent late pick 5, and it's presented by Spendthrift, the Breeders' Farm.